the meeting of the Washington Parks and Recreation Committee. Could we start with a roll call, Wayne?
Yes. Dan Cassette, Bob Zurich,
Bob said he was going to be.
Bob Kleppel,
Here.
Kevin Creedy,
Here.
Jeff Packey,
Here.
Dwayne Reed, Tessie Steffens,
Yes.
Sparky Stuckenschneider,
Here.
Debbie Todebush, Dave Waymeyer, Betty Werner,
Here.
Gavin Woolley,
Here.
Darren Lamb.
Okay, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go Ukraine. Start with the approval of the minutes for our February 8th meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Betty
I'll
and
second.
second by
A second.
Tessie. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Director's report, Wayne?
Yes, I'll start off with staffing. I'm happy to report we've hired another man, and so now we're only one full-time maintenance worker, so entry-level position short, which is the best we've been since about July. And then also I'm a guy short here at City Hall for maintenance here, full-time guy. But we did some thinking outside the box, and we got our mechanic. We shifted some things around, and we're getting some people some training and things like that. So we kind of filled those positions, which is good, especially going into spring and summer. And I saw on Facebook today, Union and Owensville have like desperation pleads out on Facebook for summer help with lifeguards and pool staff and park seasonal maintenance and things like that. And so I was talking to Robin, and we're doing, as far as the in-house people we have to hire at the pool, concession stand people, pool cashiers, we're doing better than some of those places. We have applicants, we have some returning staff. Day camp counselors are not quite as good. We have 63 kids enrolled for day camp this year already. And right now, she said we're a little short, but I'm hoping we'll find some people. We have some returning staff coming back, so that is good. I guess the next big thing that you guys saw, I sent out an email that last week at the Parks and Rec State Conference in Springfield. Our pool builder was there. They're a big sponsor of the state conference. And when I was walking through the exhibit hall, I ran into the staff, some of the staff that we use building this pool, and they're like, "Did Ryan tell you the good news?" And I said, "No." And Ryan wasn't there at the time. Ryan's the president that I dealt with a lot with the pool. And they said, "Oh, well, we'll let him tell you." And I said, "Okay." And I kept moving on. And then later that night, I was at a function with some of their staff, and he was there. And he came out. He's like, "Did staff tell you the good news?" And I said, "No, no one will tell me the good news." And he's like, "Well, let me tell you." And so he told me that you guys saw the email that they also have a big pool builders conference, which happened to be in the Bahamas, which is a little different than Springfield, Missouri. But they applied for I guess we were in the large pool category of all these pool builders across the country, and our pool won best pool in that category. And so I'm trying to get a little more information about it. So, it reflects well. It was a team effort. I sent out thank you emails even before you guys had mentioned it, because I sent it out to city staff before I sent it to you all. It was really a combination of effort. We had street department, we had water department, we had, street department was helping us lay sod. I was out there with them laying sod. We had water not issues, but things that we needed help, sewer issues with the water department and things like that. And then internally, Casey was out there at times, admin staff, obviously Robin was out there. So, and then we worked real well. The city worked well. You guys know some of the rock issues that we hit. and working through that with Westport and even our owner's rep and things like that. So I sent it out to owner's rep, pretty much anyone that was involved with the pool process got this email, and so it's a really good thing, and a lot of sweat and equity and thought went into it, and it's nice to see that it's showing off. So
And you also said Monday that the pictures of the pool were on their banners.
oh yes, yeah. When I was walking through the exhibit hall, they have these like 6 foot tall, at least, well, probably taller than that, banners, just marketing banners, and they have them every year, but. Their guys were standing in front of them because they're trying to attract people to their booth. And I sat there and talked to him for like 15 minutes, and one of them shifted out of the way, and I was like, wait, is that our pool? And he's like, oh, yeah, yeah. And he's like, you're on here twice. So they had a pool of the design, the artist rendering that you all saw before the pool was built. And then they had on a different banner, they had the actual pool as you know it today. And then they also had one of New Haven's pool because they did that renovation there last summer, and various other ones. And so that was also cool. So, I mean, Westport's really, this, I think as I told you, was the first time that they designed and built a pool. And so they are in that business now. And so they really put a lot of thought and effort. And it's a good thing that we had the pandemic going on, because I have a feeling that they would have been a lot busier too during that time. So it seemed like all the stars fell into place when we were building the pool. We got a lot of pool for the money. They had time to, really sit down and think it through along with us, and it turned out nice.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Wayne, because
Yeah.
we know that you put a lot of heart and soul into that
Yeah.
pool. You really and truly did.
I sent it to my wife when I got the email I sent you guys, and I sent her a separate text, and I said, I know it was a bear for last year, but I appreciate you putting up with me, long hours and some of that stuff. And she said, oh, thanks. So try to make the full circle of thanking everyone. Along the lines of the pool, at the last council meeting, I guess it was, I think it was the 21st, we had a lady from the community come in and and we talked about this, I think, at our last meeting, was questioning our pool fees and about lowering them this year and things like that. Darren asked me to have a letter written on behalf of the park board, because you all had made a recommendation at your last meeting not to change them for this year, and see how everything plays out as far as attendance goes. And so Sparky wrote a letter before he left town at the 11th hour, before he was getting on the plane, and I got in the council pack, and so council saw your recommendation. They also agreed, they supported your recommendation of not to change the fees for this year. And then that same letter was in there again this past meeting, so they've seen it twice now. And I did a pool presentation, the same one I did for you all last fall, of how we wound up at the pool financially. And so there wasn't really any questions about that. I mean, am I missing anything, Jeff?
No, exactly right. Just one of those instances where your letter of recommendation, what you guys vote on and what you agree on carries weight at the council meeting. Again, that's why it's important. Wayne can come before council and say, this is what they want to do again, but when you sign your name to it and you guys approve, that does, carries weight in my book anyway, for sure, so.
Well, thank you.
I think that's obviously no-brainer. I think we had a great year. There's no reason to go down in price. I've had a conversation with the particular lady, asking, it was not inducive for families to go to the pool, but you can disagree so many times where it is still a value. Thing we talked about, and Wayne kind of cleared it up for me too. It said we weren't going to change anything, but last year we opened that pool as a grand opening special. We had the punch cards. We're not going to have a grand opening special anymore. But I guess my suggestion was we have a punch card. You can buy it at any time. What is it, Wayne? 20 punches for
20, yeah, or you can get 10 for 50.
right. And then just ensure people can carry those over. Even if you buy one in August, you can still carry it over to next year.
No, you
Well,
can't.
No,
No, you
No.
you
cannot.
cannot
not
carry
carrying
You
over.
cannot. No, you cannot do that.
Then I suggest to you, why not? I read it as though you could, and if someone comes in there in July and wants to buy a pass, buy a pass, but that's a $50 pass or $100 pass, and the punches are good.
I just left mine. I left it with the ladies at the window because I knew we wouldn't be coming back. And I said, yes, somebody comes up and they have a bunch of kids or something with them, use the rest of my punch card. So, I mean, yeah, it doesn't carry over, but it's still, you can use it the whole time.
I guess I would love to see it carry over. That kind of, that's the middle ground between,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Just, to me, it just makes sense. You know, if I get a gift card, first of the year it doesn't go exempt, you know, I can still use it. But again, that's your recommendation. I'm just one person.
You know,
Do you know why we
come
didn't,
up?
Wayne? Wait.
let me get some clarification. Well, we did, I do, sort of, yes. I believe there's two reasons. I'm going to lean on Casey here in a minute for a little more explanation. But we also, last year, at the same time the pool was being built, and because of the pool too, we purchased new recreation software that we use. And at that time, we weren't really sure if the passes, the expiration date, if we could extend it into like a different year. So that was one reason. The other reason was just to keep financially, to try to keep all the money and everything. You know, money's coming in 1 year, and we wanted to keep it, even though they wouldn't be spending any more money. But that money comes in 1 year, but for tracking purposes, if you let it go on for infinity, and you're trying to track how many people come into the pool, you don't really get a good, you know, if I want to say for 2022, if you just go off punches, you know what that fee is, you know when that money came in. But if you're letting them expire, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, either way, I'm just explaining it in the thought process. If you let them, or don't let them expire, so in 22, if someone bought a pass in 21, you don't, and they used it, you don't know if that money, it was count, am I right? Am I explaining this right? You don't know if that money was counted for 21 or 22 because where now we know right now, as the way it stands now, we know everything that came in 21 was used in 21, and going forward for this year, unless you all change it, we know everything that came in 22 will be used in 22. We did find out since then that it is an option to extend the pass, you know, make them not expire. That is that, I can't remember, we discussed that.
Physically have to go into every card holder, I don't remember how many there
You're
were
gonna have to come up to the microphone, I think.
We'll physically have to go into every card holder's account and physically change the punches, what they were, what they're gonna purchase. So as they come in, I don't trust 16 and 17-year-olds, unfortunately, to do that. So the office is gonna have to do that.
Would a medium ground say the car's good for 2 years? I mean, carrying it over 3 or 4 years to me makes no sense, but you know,
Right.
you buy a car this year, it's good for this year, next year. You buy a car next year, it's that year, that following year, and just,
As long as you
It
don't
can be
adjust
done,
fees.
So they would say like 22, 23 on them.
Right.
2022 and 22, 23 on them.
Yep. In the back of the card currently, we have no years put on them at all. They're
Yeah.
just a standard card. I didn't put a year on there on purpose.
I'm assuming there's a way we could figure out how many punches were bought but not used.
There's probably reporting that can be ran. I haven't dug like.
Right.
too
Is there
far.
a fear of duplicating the amount of money? In other words, putting it in 2022 and 2023? Is there a fear of doing that?
I don't think so.
No, I don't, that's not really a worry.
Okay.
No, it's just physically going in and changing every person that bought a card and changing their accounts this year.
Were the punch cards were pretty successful?
They were.
And we're not going to do any kind of like another, like, I know we did the grand opening special, but we're not going to offer any kind of like preseason special this year. We're not.
Well, we did the grand, and Jeff asked about this, I think previously, either here or in council meeting, I can't remember, but we did, and that was Darren's, we discussed internally that it was my idea initially to have a grand opening fee because I saw it somewhere else. I don't know that he was necessarily on board with that at first, but I talked him into it. But he wanted to have a specific date. It wasn't going to last all year, and so we came up with June 1st, and so that's why in the letter it says June 1st. And that was last year. And so then after June 1st, then it went to full price, which is, $100 for 20.
Gotta think it's kind of like gift certificates, right? I mean, you buy a $5 gift certificate, it
Yeah.
sits on your drawer, you forget about it. To me, if you give them 2 years, they're gonna buy a larger, especially at the end of the season, they're gonna buy a larger ticket. Carry it over, and then Some of them are gonna forget about it, right? And that's,
Well, I guess I think the other thing we did talk about, if I remember correctly, was we were trying to get a more accurate financial picture. And because the pool only holds so many people, we were trying to get an actual, a better number. I don't know that we need to do that again this year, but those were the reasons when we talked about it last year, because we I mean, the pool does cost, and we were trying to see, I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to it, I just don't know, I got two thoughts, why we can't maybe do a little special like we've done in the past, a 2-week special to get these punch cards or something, kind of get you started.
We did have a lot of people take advantage
We
of
did,
that.
there was a lot.
I mean, it's kind of it was kind of like, I think, our thought too, that it would help people financially, you know what I mean? So I would, maybe we could give consideration to doing that again for a set amount of time. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this is the cost before it goes back to full price. And I think internally, it's up to you guys if you want to carry it over, only because you're doing all the inputting, putting on the computer, and how much time does that take, and what's involved in doing all that? Those are my two thoughts.
Question. Are we saying that if somebody comes in, say, midsummer of 2022, and they buy a season pass,
There's no such thing as a season pass.
A punch card.
Punch
They
card.
buy a
Punch
punch card.
okay,
Either 10
so
or 20
they come in late summer and they buy a punch card, okay? So they really didn't get to use it the whole season, right? So they can carry it over to 2023 because of the punches?
Right
No.
now,
Right now, you cannot carry
right
it
now,
over.
they cannot.
Okay.
But
I
they,
guess the question is,
they could pay the daily fee.
But they're
which is
paying
more
the same
expensive.
price,
Basically, of course,
right,
if
as
people
if
take a
somebody
punch card,
came
give
in
it to
early
their-
in the
give it to their
season.
neighbor or some other kids, right, instead of having those kids come and buy another punch card. I mean, it could
Yeah. that's
generate
what-
more sales by allowing
Right.
them to keep it over.
I'm gonna
Say it
have an
again,
issue,
Kevin. I
like
was
you.
listening.
If I buy 10 and I
just left
spend
mine
5,
at
I get
the
to,
gate.
Gave your
I'm
card
giving it to
back,
the neighbor
'cause
kid,
I
right? to
know
use
way
it
I'm
up.
gonna be able to
Whereas
tell
I know it's
them
gonna
that
carry in the
card.
next year, I keep it in house, those kids go buy another ticket. I mean, that's, does it generate
It's
sales?
a very good point. It's a very good point.
Letting it carry over.
It might,
Again, it's new.
it might
You can try it.
increase,
See
yeah,
what happens.
towards the end of the season, it could increase the sale of the punch cards
Correct.
very easily, and
Yeah.
rather have them, when we get the money, I don't,
And the money's still
I'd
tracked
rather
in
have
that
it
year.
ahead of
Doesn't
time.
doesn't matter when they come use the ticket anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
we track attendance, right? So we'll know how many, if more people came in than the money we took in, then we know, hey, they've just spent punch cards from last year.
yeah.
So
Or it actually probably tracks it from, you
Your
can track it
attendance
for that year's
number
card
is-
anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna be, some of it will be, I guess, I don't know, I gotta think about it. Yeah.
what were you, I'm sorry, what were you suggesting? I didn't follow you there.
Oh, make it a 2-year card. Like I
Oh,
said, I don't want to make it in perpetuity. Make it a
Right.
2-year
No,
card.
Gotcha.
2-year, right.
That limits that. I mean, I'm assuming the computer software can track. If I bought it this year and I go next year, that it still goes back and says, okay, that's a 20, so you'll be able to tell how many people
Yeah.
carried over would be the thing. And you learn, I mean, it's new, right? We're learning. We won't know until you try it.
I ran reports, I don't remember my numbers of how many people had punches left and how many account holders there were, so I mean, it's possible.
Well, you could check that out, and we could bring this up in April and vote on it, or whatever in April, and then if we still want to do like a promotion or something, we still have time to publicize that and do that, so, and then you could see exactly how many people it does involve to go and, to do what you're saying, and maybe estimate how much time or whatever, and then come back with that, if that would work for everybody.
Kevin, you were saying that it would still be 20 punches for $100, but instead of being only good for this year,
1
it'd
year.
be for 2
It'd be
years.
for 2 years.
Right.
So it wouldn't be, we could still get we got to get our pricing out into the water bill insert. When is that, for April, I guess? it
Not
is?
already.
Oh, it's out already, okay.
So if you had a 2-year, then that person could save money if the prices change the coming year. That could be an advantage for them.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing about having the promotion like we did for the grand opening, I think, quite a few people bought in that window of
Yeah, they
time.
did.
And it wasn't, it was a couple weeks, wasn't it? It was, or the month of May, maybe?
We ran it
Whatever we did.
say like
I
April,
like
March,
that. I
April.
think that's a really
Yeah.
good,
To June
because we
1st.
took a lot of heat about raising
Raising
the
up.
prices. So if they go in and they have a special, did we do was it $80?
$85.
Yeah, instead of 100. I mean, I think that's a good, incentive
Yeah,
to come
85.
in and let people,
Get their-
say,
Would-
hey, look, this is what you're gonna save, rather than the daily price, which is what, 7?
And we limited them on that promotion, which we could change. We limited them to one card, right?
One, yep.
So they could only purchase one card at 85. So if they wanted more than one, they had one at 85, one at 100.
Right.
I mean, we could make it, they could purchase unlimited, if they
Right.
wanted to. That's a
Right.
option.
It'd be easier.
Yeah,
On my
that's
end, it'd
true.
be
Yeah, we
easier.
did find that out, that it was
So.
difficult.
So are you thinking doing that in addition to carrying over?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
think we
people-
should-
I think about carryover, I think about a family that, they buy them in July, and their kids get sick, and they can't use them for 2 weeks. Or the weather
I don't
changes.
think you're gonna lose money by carrying over. I think
No, I don't think you are either, but I do think
if the
they
computer,
should
if the
go.
computer system can handle it, then
Yeah, but I do think it's fair to ask the staff to go check that out to make sure, and then to bring that
I
back.
think we have a good idea, put it on the agenda for our April.
Yeah, and then we make a decision in April.
Okay.
And then does that have to go back to the council for full approval again?
Why?
No, because we're
I don't
not
think so.
changing the.
Not changing the price.
The special thing wouldn't, and we're not changing the price of
Yeah.
the set fee already.
Okay.
The special was a special.
I'm just wondering, time frame.
I think it'd be a good way to kick off this pool season, because you're allowing that, you're allowing to carry over, and then you're, have the longer time frame too.
Yeah.
But I would definitely inform them, because
Exactly.
this has been on the
Right,
radar. They've
right.
had a lady come to the
It's
meeting.
another selling point, no
Yes.
question about that.
It wouldn't take an ordinance to change it, but it would be information.
Right.
the council would let know.
Yeah, I think they would like to know that, so.
So the 21s would carry over to 22, the 22s would carry over to 23, 23.
21s are done.
They're done.
Yeah, it'd be,
21s are.
Only
Start all
one,
new
only
this
1 year carryover, not
Yeah.
perpetuity.
well, we would start from 22.
22.
20, it'd be 22,
23.
purchase the card this year, and 22, it'd be good for 22 and 23.
So what you said, Wayne, is not all true. The 21 cards will not work in 22. We didn't start.
Correct.
Now, going forward, it would be.
So Tessie, we may need to make a motion on that then?
You can go back.
No, I don't think we need to make a motion. We just
I just
need,
have to go change.
Well, it's going to be put on the agenda
it's just
for
gonna
our
be
April
put on the
meeting.
agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll decide in
Got the
April.
whole thing of people
Yeah,
that
let's
go
move
back
on
and
and
ask.
do what's supposed to be on this agenda.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Wayne, anything else on your,
Let's see,
Report?
pool fees. Next thing I had was, and some of you guys have been inquiring via email and even before this meeting, we are very likely to have a special meeting with you all at the end of this month to review the soccer lease. So some of you guys have asked questions, what's going on? It's been internal, myself, Darren, and Mark Piontek have been getting revisions from WSA for the last couple weeks. We had a big meeting a couple weeks ago, and then there's been several revisions since then, or at least one revision since then. And Darren and I actually worked on it this afternoon again, sent it off to Mark Piontek again. Once we talk to him a little more, then we'll sit down with you all, like I said, sooner rather than later, probably this month, and review it, and then go from there.
Okay,
very good.
thank you.
In the meantime, also related to soccer, WSA does have a permit to use the field. They have some recreational teams up there or not recreation, sorry, competitive teams up there right now practicing this week. I think next week they may have some more recreational teams. Games are supposed to start on the 19th, so I think we're working on getting a permit and stuff for next week and the rest of this month, or however long it takes to get this lease finalized, but they do have a permit for this week, so, I know it's a little moist up there, but I'm sure they're doing their due diligence to make sure they're not tearing up the field, because soon it's gonna be their baby.
Okay.
And I do have one last thing, sorry, I'm trying to get through here. Just because I didn't want you to be out in the public and maybe hear about this. I'm working with the downtown, well, not downtown, the design group that I meet with monthly, and they are looking for a project to do. And downtown's obviously concerned with a lot of events that go on downtown, and they have the Sunset on the Riverfront. And when I first started, someone from the organization came to me and said, how come we don't have a playground at Riverfront Park? And I said, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. And it's, now I'm wondering the same thing. And so I did some research into it and things like that. And I think there were some past people against it and things like that. But they are working on a possible donation. It's going to take some time to install a playground down there. And I've been working with them. We got a spot picked. I mean, this is all real. I mean, this just started like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So nothing's been said or anything like that. They're gonna have to raise some money. But looking at a train themed playground to kind of match the decor down there with all the train tracks and passenger depot and everything like that. Looking at getting some grants possibly for it. It would not, I specified that it would not have rubberized surfacing because of flooding. I want something that if it does, water gets up, it would take a lot of water to get up. It'll be closer to the restrooms, so further away from the river. It would take a lot of water to get up that high. But if it did get up that high, I wanted chips down because chips will just float away, and then we just put new ones back in when the river goes back down after we clean up everything. So I got a proposal from a vendor, sent it to them, they're looking at it, the wheels are turning, things like that. So more to come on that. Does anyone, I mean, would anyone, they would come downtown, or a group from that organization would come and present to you guys what they're wanting to do and how it would be funded and things like that. But I told them I would plant the seed now and kind of get a feel for you guys. I mean, would anyone be adamantly opposed to a playground at Riverfront Park with all the events and picnics and all that stuff that go on down there?
I think it screams for a playground facility down there.
I don't think we can have too many playgrounds.
And so that's what I kind of told them. I was like, well, we've had a lot of, here lately, we've been talking about playgrounds a lot, and my perception is that they're very pro playgrounds. And so it wouldn't be a massive one. The one we're looking at right now, the rough estimate I got was the equipment and shipping. So no install, no mulch, no pit, we got drainage would have to go in under the mulch and everything like that. So just the equipment and freight was like $83,000. So not a gigantic one.
Comparable to the one that not as big as the one that we're doing out at Phoenix?
Oh, no, not that big.
Okay.
No.
But which, by the way, looks really good.
Yeah, it's coming along nice.
It looks really nice out there.
So I just wanted to throw that in there. I told Tyler I would plant the seed with you guys and kind of feel you out and then report back to them, and then they'll really start to get the wheels turning then.
Now, is that under the umbrella of downtown Washington? You stated a design group when you first started talking about this.
It's a group that meets, Sal was on it and he's off of it now, and I kind of took his place, but I've been on it since I've been here. And they're concerned with just downtown, like one of their main focuses is the Main and Elm lot, and they're just focused on downtown and the looks of it. Some ideas that they have out there is to do here at 4th and Jefferson, arched sign, I guess you will, like kind of what the Midway has up there. It would say, "Welcome to downtown," or something like that on it. I mean, that's really expensive, and it's been on their books for a long time. But even a possible stage at
Amphitheater.
Main and Elm, that type of thing.
Well, yeah, I saw in the paper that they're bringing up again I guess the drawing that we had for the riverfront.
Amphitheater.
Yeah, the
Couple
Missourian
days.
asked me about it, and since I wasn't here for that, and I've actually kind of wondered too exactly how that went. I didn't know myself, and so I had to defer. I punted the football to Darren, and so Darren responded to Ethan's request. And so the way I understand it, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the previous parks director And I'm assuming, because we only, in that article, I think it only talked about council, but I'm assuming that it was ran through Park Board and you all signed off on it, that you liked the concept. And then it was taken to council, and council signed off on it saying they liked the concept, but there was never any budget tied to it.
Correct.
And so nothing was, since there was never really any budget numbers tied to it, it was not really put into this capital improvement sales tax. The only thing that did make it out of that concept, I guess, was the parking lot. And so that is in this half-cent sales tax, maybe for next year or the year after, I can't remember for sure, to pave a parking lot down there. And I think the budget number's 200 or 250,000, I can't remember, to pave a parking lot down there. But
Like where the
that,
sand plant used to be?
yes, in that gravel lot down there. But that, right now, that's the only thing that's funded out of that whole nice, pretty picture you saw in the paper recently.
Well, one of the other.
Not to say that it can't be funded in the future, in the
Right.
next one.
One of the other concerns when that came about too was that there was only access one way in and one way out, so that if you had a big show down there.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think at some point in time, people were gonna, I don't know, talk to the railroad to see about another access. So I think that kind of put it on hold too, because of the fear of if something happened, you couldn't get in and get out. So, I mean, there were several factors. It wasn't just money or whatever, but it's not that the idea wasn't a good idea, it was just logistics of everything.
And if I recall, there was a bit of initial opposition due to the noise factor as well, noise levels as well by some of the downtown residents.
Yeah.
So,
Few more,
all issues to be addressed.
Yep, to be considered.
Yeah.
few more of those now.
Well, the only fear there would be a tornado or something like that. You know, it wouldn't be.
You ever hear the Rolling Stones?
That's all I have for the director's report.
Okay, next is communications from the audience. Anybody have anything they want to bring up? Talk? No? All right, old business?
Are you guys good?
Ronzig turf upgrade.
All right, Ronzig turf upgrade. So these projects, now that it's warm again and, well, not snowing until Friday, are moving along. This week, we got the irrigation moved. The irrigation that was running through the infield, we got it moved to the outfield, to the edge of the outfield. Fencing is going in after I talked to you yesterday. The contractor has been there doing some fence work. Working with the Legion, and John's been kind of, or Jeff, I'm sorry. I was dealing with your brother today on something else. Has been spearheading this with the Legion and trying to figure out, so the money, we had money for the field, but not necessarily for pitching mounds and things like that, and so we're working our way through that, and we're, you know, the pitching mounds have to be concreted, and we're working our way through that. The one thing that we didn't think we were going to have all the funds for was fencing around those areas, and so Jeff's been real instrumental with working with Legion and Kent and trying to come up with a plan that will help us all out, and I think we're getting close, and I can, if you got time, I can give you an update afterwards.
Trying to expand the bullpens behind the dugouts.
Right.
Main thing.
Yeah.
A little bit bigger, a little safer. And then, like I said, the fencing was not part of what was budgeted, so we're trying to get a funding source from that, and the Legion's helping out.
Both sides?
Yes. Yeah, we're making a few changes, like I said, wider, the visitor dugout, our bullpen actually moving it away, so it's further away from the tree. And
Yeah.
that corner a little bit, there's just some few logistic things there, but, like I said, the contractor was able to include the concrete, but not the whole work, so we're trying to work together with that.
Yeah.
And while the fencing company's out there for the side fences, we're right in the middle of that now, trying to work them out and trying to figure out a backstop, all that kind of stuff. So it's working, but it's just a matter of work
Yeah.
in progress.
While we have everything torn up, we're trying
Is
to,
everything still kind of on time?
yeah.
Okay, good.
I don't know what the turf schedule is.
Turf schedule is, I checked the other day, still to be shipped May 31st, and so.
March 30th.
March.
Or March 31st, yeah. Wrong M month.
Gonna miss
I got
that,
it.
you're gonna miss that May 1st.
Yeah. Yeah, and so my next question was like, so we're still on track for our May 1st opening, and I said, yeah,
Okay, good.
I think some of the concrete work may be done before then, but
yeah.
the turf will be And I just seen Burns and Jones had something on their page yesterday that said they just finished one, that they did concession stand, bleachers, everything, you know, type thing. They must have just finished one here recently, so.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna call someone and say, are we next, or are we waiting, is there another? But the guy told me, the guy who really did all the site prep, said, you know, once we get the site prep, they'll come back, roll things, make sure everything goes to grade. Putting the turf down is not a lengthy process.
No.
A matter of a week
Yeah.
or two, and they'll have it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Some good weather in a week, they could have majority of it done, so hopefully we get the.
Not sure in growing grass.
Now,
Yeah.
I know Washington High School is going over to Dutso for their spring season. If that gets done in time, would you let them schedule a few games toward the end of the season, or are you just going to wait until the Legion?
I don't know. I imagine we're going to be doing work there until the 11th hour, I'm guessing, just with all the other projects we have going on right now between the pavilion, because we got to pour concrete at Ronzi, we got to pour a little bit at the playground at Phoenix. We got all the pads poured at the lake pavilions, but we still got to do all the sidewalks yet. So
Okay.
we're running around from area to area to area. I'm guessing it will be there till 11th hour.
Okay.
Would hate to promise something and not work.
Yes.
I just wondered.
Okay, well, you just gave us an update on the lake pavilions.
Yes, those are coming along
Which is,
nicely. They,
okay.
one's up, and they're starting to work on the electric for that one, and they'll be jumping to the next one and the next one. And then we're gonna be trying to pour sidewalks here shortly, and, because we got sidewalks, water fountains, and barbecue grills to install yet too, at those, you know, each one, so. Things are moving along. Phoenix Park Playground, that's going well. I imagine the installer will be here maybe till the end of the month, and then he'll be gone. We were over there today putting in some drainage for the mulch chips, so that all drains. And then we'll be able to open that playground, even though we won't have a fence. We can keep that construction fence up, that fence that we have that we use out at the amphitheater for during the fair and other concerts and stuff like that. We'll be able to, and I want to do a ribbon cutting here once we get it open. There'll still be some work going on over there, but the kids will be able to use it. And it's not like we're going to keep it completely shut off and not let anyone use it until the very last thing's done, because that just never works out. So it won't be long. That one will be coming along real good. Waterworks renovation is going along well. It's hard to tell from the outside, but the inside, they filled the floor of that building with rock, and now it's concreted. And the concrete that they put down was made to look like a wooden floor, so it's stamped. It's a shade of brown, and it was stamped, so it looks like big wood planks in there. And next, soon, they'll be working on the exterior sidewalks all around that building. We're going from probably on the north side there, probably from 10-foot sidewalks to 12. There are a couple trees we're going to have to take out. There's one tree that's got holes in it now, right there as soon as you enter the sidewalk from the parking lot. Because when we go from 10 to 12, it'll definitely take that one out. And then there's 3 trees on the south side that are all right now up against the sidewalk, and none of them are in good shape. One's got a huge hole in it that fills with water. Right now, it was filled with water today. That's about that big. They're all maple trees. We can do I told Chad we would, obviously we're going to replant new ones, but I want to plant them in like strategic spots, like, you know, maybe we replace one for one and we put them all on the line, or in certain areas where people will gain access during events for shade and things like that, and I just throw a couple in the middle of the park and call it done. So we will get some more around that area, and I want to strategically place them. So, but they are large trees that are going to have to come down. But it's not like we're just doing them to take them down. Believe me, I would rather leave them if we could. And then just one final update, old business, the pool extension. So the 1 week in August 15th through the 19th, you all made a recommendation to council. I took it to council at the last meeting. Council thought it was a good idea. good idea to keep it open an extra week. So we'll be open, Monday through Friday from when the pool opens all the way to August 19th. And then we'll do weekends, a couple weekends in August, and then that last weekend the pool will be open will be Labor Day weekend. It'll be, I think the last day is Sunday, September 4th, or Monday the 4th or 5th, whatever it is. So the holiday, so they approved that and we're on our way.
New business?
New business, last meeting I told you, we had no bidders for the Cole Miller roof. I rebid it. We had one bidder for the Cole Miller roof. It was a little over budget. I worked with Darren, and I'm going to take that to the city council meeting, this next one, on the 21st. So we will be getting a new roof on that building. It is leaking some, so it is a concern. And as soon as we get the roof on, then the Historical Society will go in and repair some of the drywall and things. It's not too bad, but they don't want it to get any worse. So nothing's been ruined, no artifacts or anything like that. So I think next is soccer leagues. I told you about that earlier. Nothing, we'll be looking for a special meeting towards the end of this month. Next, I had Rotary Riverfront Trail Connection. This is new. And we can go through this. I got it pulled up here for you guys. You probably saw this in the paper. And the way this came about is I had to take it to council. We were up against the deadline for the grant. The grant was due on the 16th of February. And I had Cochran Engineering submitted the grant for us on behalf of the city because I wouldn't have time to do it. And I haven't done one that large yet, so it was a good experience for me too. But the idea is to connect the East and West Trail. There's several goals in mind, I guess. So a couple things. We actually had a lady, and I submitted this with the grant. Thankfully, she didn't sue the city, and she wasn't upset, but she wanted to put it on our radar. In 2020, September 2020, we had a lady that had rode the East Trail, so came through here, went through the parking lot, got over here, got on the sidewalk, and wanted to get to the West Trail. You guys know right here is a pretty steep grade that comes down to the street. She was trying to stop as she approached the street here, and something happened. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but she wound up flipping over. She was trying to stop. She flipped over her handlebars and fell out into the street, and took a picture of her face and had to go to the emergency room and get some stitches. But she wanted to make us aware of that it's a pretty steep grade there. And it was right about the time that the Public Works Director and I were talking about this in our head, this theory of connecting the trails. John knew, the Public Works Director knew that in order to connect the trail and meet ADA requirements, we would have to redo this intersection because it's too steep. So as soon as I got the email, I sent it to John. I was like, oh my God, look at this. I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. What we don't want to happen. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, I think it could be a good justification for your future grant. And so I submitted it with that. So anyways, back to what we're trying to do here. So you see the West Trail here. Would be a crosswalk that would come across here. This would be all graded out, be much flatter. And then you get on this is the trail connection. You'd run through here. And then these steps would move from right here to here because we're trying it gets a little tight through here. And we're proposed railing here of some kind to keep kids, from maybe darting out in front of, say, a bicyclist or something like that. There will also be ballards before each end of the pavilion to slow bicyclists down as they approach this area. But the idea would be run along this hillside, and as you make it to here, would be a connection to the bathroom. Take you to the bathroom. We would do some ADA stuff in the bathroom. You would get 2 new bathrooms here, that's what's shown here, that would be open year-round, that would be ADA compliant and family change rooms. So the rest of the building would be shut down in the winter, but these 2 restrooms would be open all year round, which is a good thing. It's very much needed. Also gives you a couple more bathrooms to use during a Sunset on the Riverfront event. Normally, they don't pay, the grant would not fund sidewalks. They only fund sidewalks if it's connecting to a restroom and they're ADA compliant and things like that. So we were able to get that in there. And then would run down this hillside. Those steps would still be there. The current steps would be redone and run down the hillside and connect to the East Trail here. In the future, as you guys saw in the paper, I don't know if you noticed, there's like a spur on that other concept that would take you from here and run you along the riverfront over to where the barge docking area was, and that would be like an overlook area, and then would connect to the East Trail in the woods. So that would be like a little river view spur of the East Trail. You'd still have the East Trail where it, wraps around the curve here and runs along the railroad tracks. You could still go from here and run along the railroad tracks if you wanted, or you could go straight, if that was funded in the future, connect to that spur and still continue along the river over to where you enter the woods on the East Trail
Well,
now.
how are you gonna keep bicycles off of this right here?
That could be taken out. That could all be removed, or we could just leave it. I think most people, if you leave it, there will be some people that still, especially if they need to use the bathroom probably, that will still use that area and still could walk through here. But this plan keeps most of those, it should allow, if we're having sunset here in the parking lot, you're not going to have to battle all these people drinking beer to walk through here to get on the East Trail. You'd just avoid all these people. You won't be parking in that lot if that event's going on, but you'd be parked over here, just get on trail and go. It also allows during flooding, keeps the trail open a little longer during flooding, but it also allows the water department to get to their pump station over here where the sand plant is during high water, because right now this parking lot goes underwater at, I think, 17 feet it is. And then they're forced to drive through here next to the waterworks building where we're going to have tenants walking in and out of that building. My fear is that either a bicyclist was going to come flying through here, and that in theory could still happen. I don't know why you would go through all that congestion when you have a nice open trail over here. And someone was going to walk out of the waterworks building with a new tenant going in there now and get hit by a bicyclist, or if a truck or a police car or something goes through there, you're walking out of that side door right into a vehicle potentially. So those are the options. It remedies a number of things in our books.
You're gonna keep that trail that connects to the existing parking lot, that lower parking lot?
Oh, this here?
Yes.
Yes. And so this is not a final plan. I should specify that. It's not a final plan. This was just a concept that we had to submit for the grant. So it's open, will be open to your input, public input, everything throughout the process.
Okay.
Wayne, what is next to the waterworks building there, the little green?
It's just a little green grassy area
Oh.
our architect put in. But this whole lot gets paved then and redone and ADA accessible. And it does change, that tree that's there would be gone, but we add this green space over here and a little green space here.
Would you have stop signs on each side for the bicyclists?
Whatever would be required per the grant rules, because they do check all that stuff. You have to have the proper signage and everything.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. Now, can you?
So like I said, it's just a concept. I don't want you to feel like you don't have because everyone will have, we'll vet this process. We just had to have a concept that we had to submit to the grant people and dollar amounts. And so the total dollar amount we put in was 300, I should have wrote that down, I forgot. I think it was like 378,000, and the city would be, their portion of the grant would be 122.5.
Guess the only comment I would have is we're adding a lot of new concrete if we can get rid of some.
Yeah, it is all, it's a 10-foot, it's all concrete, and it's 10 feet wide, which the east trail right now is 10 feet wide, the west trail is 12 feet wide, but they're
Like even
both
those
asphalt.
two pavilions there on the upper right before the trail. If you can come off the trail instead of getting rid of all that sidewalk inside there and make that, you get a much bigger grassy area there or something, just to,
Where are you talking about, Kevin?
straight up from there. Just
Oh, right here?
pavilions, Yeah.
Yeah, we can look at that.
So while you have that up, where were you looking to put the
Oh,
playground?
I was just thinking of that too. Right when you said it. Looking at, there's, right in this area here, there's a sewer manhole somewhere in here we need to avoid, but in this area here, that way you could still see your kid. If you're at the pavilion, you could still see your child playing on the playground. If you're in the parking lot, you might be able to see him playing from the playground. Very close to the restroom and still pretty far away. If there was high water, I mean, it's gonna take a lot to get up in that area.
Well, there's still trees to absorb the sound if somebody.
Yeah, there's a nice, there's two, I think cypress tree, there's like one there, I think, and this one here for shade
So
too.
where you're pointing at right now, that's where the proposed playground is gonna be?
Yeah, well, that's what we're looking,
Okay.
yes, I mean, that's where I was looking. Initially, they were thinking downtown was, when they brought it to me, they were thinking like in this area, and I was like, well, we're gonna have sidewalk going through there. Plus, there's some trees and landscaping there already, and it's just closer to the river. They already do, when they do have some kind of kids event they're trying really hard in the recent years to have more, at Sunset, more things for the whole family to do, not just mom and dad. And so they've had like petting zoos and things like that already in this area. Oops, looks like I timed out. So, once I mentioned that, he's like,
That's all we were supposed to discuss.
once I mentioned that, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, that's where we have the petting zoo and stuff already anyway. So he's like, that makes sense. I was like, yeah, it's really close to the bathroom too.
That really would be.
Is this where we make a motion to adjourn, or is that a hint or what? I shouldn't say anything, I was late.
There we go. All right, hopefully we got a little more time here, so. Any other, I guess, questions about that? And I can send this out to you, or was that in your packet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you have it.
Yeah.
And like I said, so we're open to any, like, your comment about the concrete and all that stuff, open to all of this.
The only thing I can think of right now is if you're going to allow them to go onto the parking lot also, is maybe paint in a bike lane through there
In the parking lot down there? Oh, yeah, we can look at that, yeah.
so that they would kind of stick to one area rather than just a thought.
I don't know exactly where it would be because this is a boat trailer parking
And
lot.
if you're going to.
A lot of people
keep
park
that
down there.
Connected right there, which you are,
Yeah.
then you might want to consider.
Because originally that, I guess when the trail was built,
I
that was
always
the,
use it. I
that was the
always use it
trailhead there.
right now.
Right. So in that area with that playground, it's not gonna be very much equipment.
No.
And it's gonna really be for littler,
Ages is 5 to 12.
Okay.
okay.
And I can show you the nothing's set in
No,
stone.
no, I'm just trying to, it's not a lot, it's not a lot of area, but the age group would be 5 to 12, and, okay, I'm just trying to, and, all right, what trees have to go?
Oh, let's see, for the waterworks, is that what you're
Yeah.
referring to?
Yep.
So there's one here, that's like right butted up to the current concrete.
Right,
And then there's 3 here that are butted up to this concrete here.
okay,
And this one's got a hole in it and was like one of those where it did a Y and it was starting to split already. Josh trimmed the one limb off, but you can still see the gouge in it. And then there's these 3 here. This one on the end closest to the sidewalk has a huge hole in it. That one, a year ago, I had Josh, I was like, can you take a drill and drill in there so the water doesn't sit in there and further rot the tree, but it just clogs up, the hole just clogs up. So like when I was down there today, it's a hole this big filled with black nasty, murky water. And then there's 2 more next to it.
Okay.
Those 2 are maples, and the one in the middle, I'm not sure.
Silver
what it is.
maples or?
I think so. I'm not positive, I have to ask Josh. And Josh wasn't with me today when I was down there, he was at a training. But I know for sure 2 of them are maples, and I'm not sure on the other one. But like I said, we would replant, and I want to try to do it, like maybe we plant new trees in this area here in a line, in this green area here between the Waterworks building and the pavilion. Or maybe we plant a couple more back in here that are, smaller.
There's gonna be a certain amount of disruption for your new bathroom as well, huh?
Yeah, that was the other thing. So between the trail, or not the trail, the new concrete going around, the sidewalk going around the building, and the disruption of this addition of the bathroom here, the likelihood of those trees making it
You're not gonna-
is not good, because they're already not in great shape to begin with. Any other questions about that?
Very good.
Wayne, where that playground proposed to be, will there be any kind of park benches or whatever, parents to sit down or whatever?
Yeah, we can install,
Okay.
and that's all after the fact usually.
Any other questions or comments on the trail extension? Okay, an electric project at the auditorium and Old,
This is not a very glamorous one, but we got some of the pieces in, some of the electrical components that we need to get electric running to the old bathhouse, and to upgrade the electric. It's an upgrade to the old bathhouse and to the auditorium. And so work has begun on that. It's been a little slow, but it has begun, so I just want to give you an update in case you see someone up there. And I think that's it.
Who's doing the work on that?
It's Jim Eckelkamp. I can't remember his company, though.
American Data.
Oh,
Yes, thank you.
thank you.
any other questions, comments? Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Bob and second by Gavin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next meeting is April 13th. Is that a Friday?
We have a special one.
No.
Unless we have a special one. You'll
Oh,
send
yes,
out
I'll let
an
you know,
email
yeah.
or something?
It'd be an email I'll send to you guys, and we'll have to figure out a time. Like I said, excuse me, it's kind of